Hey everybody, I'm Ben Yee.
I'm Elissa Stein, and tonight we're here to talk about the public advocate race.
Yes, there's so little going on after the midterms that we have to talk about the special election nobody knows about.
Well, they're going to know about it after watching this.
That's right, pay attention folks at home.
Right, so this is a little backstory.
Yeah.
Tish James was our public advocate.
Technically still is until January.
Okay, she threw her hat into the Attorney General race.
Sure did.
After Eric Schneiderman resigned.
In disgrace.
In disgrace. I'm sure he's probably not watching that, so that's okay to say. But anyway, she won the
Well,
election.
if you are watching this, Eric Schneiderman, don't do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, shame on you. But she won, and so now she's leaving that job January 1st. So now there's this open seat, and we've talked about this before, that there's going to be a special election for public advocate.
Absolutely.
So you talked a little bit about before how it works.
Yep.
And now we can say that somebody we know, in fact, somebody in this room, is in the race.
Oliver!
Gracie? First dog running for public advocate in New York City.
Yes. Well, there's a lot of dynamics in this race, but it is true that I am running for public advocate, so now you know. It is a daunting task, but...
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this show endorses you for public advocate, so congratulations.
We haven't taken an official vote here yet. There's only 3 of us. I guess I'm one of those votes.
I vote for Ben.
I as well, the camera guy.
But I still don't. I'll abstain. It's inappropriate.
So,
but I don't want this to become a show about Ben Yee running for public advocate.
No,
we
but
still
still-
have a
but
job to do of informing people.
Yes, but still very exciting, and
Thank
congratulations,
you,
and
thank
best
you.
of luck. So
Yes.
anyway, so you've decided to throw your hat into the ring for this job,
Yes.
as it seems many others have as well.
So many.
I heard that so many have, but then a whole slew of people have already dropped out of the race. Like I heard Eric Adams, the borough president of Brooklyn.
He was in for a minute. He was out. It was unclear. I heard he reached an agreement with Jumaane Williams. But essentially, actually, let's talk about the dynamics of the race and why there's so many people in it and what that means.
It is, and I was thinking about this in that this is such, well, not that rare. I mean, I don't know, but to have an occurrence where this really high visibility job, not high power, but high visibility in the city,
Yeah.
certainly.
We can do a whole other thing about what it actually can and cannot do.
Right, which I know I've learned from you is not all that much, but they do have a budget, and they can spend some money.
They can.
And but besides that, this is an opportunity when people didn't necessarily expect one to be here.
Right.
So it's suddenly like out of the blue, without
Yes.
petitioning, without all the stuff that you have to do when you run. Open door, come run for this office, and so it seems
Yes.
like a lot of people are coming out of the woodwork for this.
Yes, and there's a couple of important reasons for this. The first one being that city elections will be taking place in 2021, but because city offices are term limited, something like a third of the city council has to go find another job, and they can run this year without having to give up anything whatsoever.
Ah,
So
so
they'll
if
have
they win, great, and then that seat will be vacated.
Exactly.
And if they don't win, who cares? Well, they still have their jobs.
So anybody looking at being term limited in city council right now can run this year for public advocate, run next year in state or federal elections, and then run again for city elections in 2021.
So wouldn't that be a lot of time spent not doing their job?
Yeah, one could argue that, but on the other hand, all these people need employment, and they certainly don't want to give up the cushy government jobs they have now
Right.
and the political power that comes with
So
it.
that's an interesting thing that now that I'm learning a teeny tiny bit more about the political world, is that a lot of it is very self-serving. It's
Not a tremendous
necessarily-
amount.
Right, but
This
it's
is
not
what we
about
call
your,
career politicians.
right. It's not about your constituents. It's not about the job you're necessarily elected to do. It's looking out for your own well-being
Right.
and amassing your own power.
Right.
And-
I mean, it depends who it is and how you feel about it. So, for example, there are several candidates in the race, myself included, who don't come from another paid elected position and are doing this for other reasons.
Right.
Whereas some candidates who folks think very highly of, for example, Jumaane Williams, are actually term limited out and they are looking for that next thing.
Is
And
he
one-
currently a city council member?
He is, and
But
one of
this
the
is at
reasons
the
he
end of
ran
his
for
thing.
lieutenant governor was because he'll be term limited out and he needs the next thing.
Here's a question.
Yes.
Once you've served your 2 terms, right, in city council, and take time off, can you run again?
You can.
Okay, so you could take, it's 4-year
4
terms,
years.
right? So
It's
you
not
take
happened yet. It's difficult
Right.
to come back like that, but yes.
But one could.
In theory.
Okay, all right. So, so now where does the race stand? Like, what's the timeline?
So the timeline is basically everybody is gearing up for the vacancy which will occur on January 1st. The mayor will have 3 days to call a special. So he could call it on the 1st, the 2nd, or the 3rd.
Exciting.
The special election has to be 45 days away from the day he calls it.
Okay, so
Or rather, 45 days from the vacancy creation.
So in February,
In
there'll be an
Feb-
election.
He is not limited by how far out it can be. He could theoretically say, we're doing this in a year. But it's unlikely.
Okay.
They've always been on the first Tuesday after 45 days has elapsed. I don't expect anything different. So
Okay.
we're looking at mid to late February, early March at the latest.
So this is a full-scale election with polling places, and they're going to have to do the whole setup again?
There's even matching funds, and there's petitioning. And you have to gather half the number of signatures, 3,750, which is half of the 7,500 usually
So this
required,
is
but you
all
only have 2
happening-
weeks.
Right, okay, in this very truncated time.
Yes.
So in February, we'll see people on the streets with petitions and clipboards and asking you to sign.
No, in January you'll see the
In January.
clipboards. In
Right.
February you'll have the election.
And so, I mean, just thinking about this, and I know we have to wrap up, from a cost standpoint, they're going to have to stage an entire election.
Yeah.
They're going to have to close the spaces, trot out all those broken machines, which were a mess in November, a mess, and go through that whole entire rigmarole again for this one thing.
It was once pointed out, I think by a friend of mine or maybe by me, that the cost of doing a runoff election for public advocate 4 years ago, or no, 8 years ago now, was more than it would cost to hire 2 public advocates. So, but democracy, we pay the price for democracy,
We
sometimes
literally
in
pay the
dollars, but
price
so
for-
that we have the right to vote.
Okay, well, on that very positive note and expensive note, we'll round things up for this time. See ya.
Don't forget to vote. Laters.
We're still giving vote messages. Thanks for watching
If you liked what you saw, please like the video too, and then share it.
with everyone you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that.